sadly for the Zoomers, the Gen Zs out there, I feel kind of bad for them because they're walking into the buzzsaw of probably the worst financial social disaster in 1,000 years. For us boomers, we're like, oh, well, we had a great 40 years, whatever. But for the Zoomers and the millennials, though, it's a dire situation. So I would encourage the younger generations, load up on Bitcoin, because that is definitely a way to create a bulwark against what I perceive to be a growing cascade of interlocking and reinforcing problems.
Hey guys, welcome back to Library of Wealth. Today we have investor and Bitcoin bull Max Keiser talking about why it's so important now to load up on Bitcoin. With the value of fiat money constantly decreasing, Keiser emphasizes the need for perfect money. He details how Bitcoin does everything gold does, but better. And like we're seeing in countries like El Salvador, Bitcoin is actually a way to engineer economies as well. Keiser still holds strong to his six-figure price prediction for Bitcoin in 2023, and with the bull market just around the corner, I think we'll be seeing a massive shift here in the first half of the year. Let's check out part 1 and 2 of Max Keiser's latest interviews as he talks about the future success of Bitcoin and how it's the only reliable store of value. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy the content we do here on this channel. Let's get right into the video.
100,000 years or more, specifically over the past 5 to 10,000 years, over the past few hundred years, obviously the gold has become the number one money because it has great attributes. If you're somebody traveling around and you need a medium of exchange in a way that it gives you the ability to travel through time, because gold's purchasing power due to its scarcity remains constant, and it allows you to travel through space because it's somewhat portable, it's divisible, it's fungible. So with gold, you have the ability to be free, to walk anywhere. I think you can go anywhere in the world. If I have gold, they'll take it. That's the great thing about gold. Flash forward to Bitcoin. Bitcoin does everything that gold and money we expect it to do, except it does it better. It does it in the digital age. It's more secure. It's more portable. Everything that we talk about Bitcoin. So Bitcoin represents the long search for perfect money in that sense. And as a result, it has caused massive nervous, neurological problems in people who are incapable of handling this idea of perfect money. Again, so you have someone like a Sam Bankman-Fried who looks at the quote unquote crypto market and becomes the biggest crook in history. And then you have somebody like a Michael Saylor or a President Bukele who looks at it and says, this is actually a way to help or engineer our lives and our economy in ways that are going to benefit everybody, right? So it has this is where we're at now with Bitcoin. It's cleaving the society. And so with Bitcoin, similarly, once you get the Bitcoin meme and once it's in your mind and it's kicking around and rearranging your brain, it doesn't stop. You don't wake up tomorrow and like, well, that Bitcoin thing was interesting, but I'm going to start crocheting now and making puppets for dogs. Now it's still working in your brain, whether you want it or not. Right. So I think we're at a point where there's no turning back, for humanity. Not to be overly dramatic, but I think that given the current state of affairs around the world, and with the fiat money machine now going into hyperbolic overdrive, and all the excesses that were brought on by fiat money, all of the, the malinvestments that are made possible through the money printers, has created a dystopian nightmare.
With companies like Celsius, Voyager, FTX, and now Genesis, they've shined the spotlight on why the Bitcoin network is so strong. As we've seen, when weak tokens and exchanges are put under pressure, if they're propped up on even weaker assets, the bottom collapses and becomes exposed.
20,000, 22,000 copies have never succeeded. And Bitcoin is now emerging after, the halving downtrend that always happens. Looks like it's developing into this new bull market. And I see that the Bitcoin market is kind of being left in the dust, which is going to happen at some point. That'll be really the story, is that we don't really have a total separation between Bitcoin and the Bitcoin market. With other folks, like you mentioned, Sam Bankman-Fried, the magic mirror of Bitcoin accentuated his worst qualities. The guy was already nebbish to begin with.
Now it turns out Genesis, Barry Silbert's company out of New York, and remember, Roger Ver was associated with him with the whole big block thing, right? They were on the wrong side of the fork wars.
The New York War.
And what Bitcoin revealed about those guys, they're all being wiped out because of who they are. What Bitcoin revealed to us long ago, who they actually were. Well, Roger Ver has failed, according to this lawsuit anyway, alleged to have not paid almost $21 million, $20.9 million. So he doesn't pay his debts, right? Because he thinks, well, he's that sort of guy, right? Like, he doesn't feel like he has an obligation to pay if he loses big time.
Yeah, it's funny how that whole 2016, 2017 block war period and the New York agreement, of which Barry Silbert and a list of 20 or 25 other executives in the industry at that time signed on to essentially try to increase block size and to commercialize Bitcoin in a way that they felt was necessary for their businesses as startups and VCs. Yes. And it was the nodes, ultimately the plebs, who won the war. And they walked off the battlefield defeated. And but those guys, all those guys from the New York agreement ended up here now in 2022, 2023, really the ship hitting the rocks. And these major folks like at the Winklevoss and others.
Keiser emphasizes the value of the ideal collateral provided by Bitcoin. Mortgage rates having doubled in recent months is one of the biggest signs that a massive collapse is imminent. A similar situation occurred in 2008 when the housing market crashed due to large banks having too much leverage from bad loans. The average American will suffer the economic consequences of banks making the same mistakes again, only this time there are several markets that are on the verge of collapsing. Hedge funds have techniques to reduce and manage risk, so this time it will be the average American that feels it the most. Keiser explained that the business cycle is when supply and demand becomes unbalanced and the economy declines into recession, which leads to prices decreasing and then starts over. Under Reagan, the age began where no market sell was too big to make more money accessible to Wall Street. Keiser has noticed that now those in charge of money printing can now legally take capital from people in many ways. What do you guys think about Max Keiser's opinion on the need for Bitcoin and what we can expect economically in the next few months? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This is Library of Wealth. We'll see you in the next video.